Third week in a row, the Bills have a primetime game. Bills are 2-0 in primetime games the last 2 weeks. On to week number 3 as the Bills go to Empower Field at Mile High in Denver. The hometown for the Crew.
I know, right? They're right in our backyard. It's so disappointing that we can't be there for this game. But, we might have to wave at the buses on the way there or out. So, hopefully some Bills Mafia is represented here in Denver, and the team still gets to see that we're here and we're rooting for them.
Yeah, I mean, for the game being in the backyard, one of the things that I have enjoyed this week is giving Bronco fans shit. And it doesn't get any better.
That's true.
Now, listen, we're going to talk some shit about the Broncos today because this franchise and the fan base here, they don't know what losing is like. They have this idea that it doesn't exist, kind of like Patriots.
Right.
And they've been taking their medicine the past few years, and it's just great to see how they want to just pack it all in this year. They want to get rid of Drew Lock, go get Matt Stafford. They want to wipe the slate clean, buddy. And it's just great and John Elway's smug face. I
can't wait to do that.
It is really funny that, I've lived in Denver since 2012, and I went to playoff games, and I went to the Super Bowl parade when they won, and it was awesome. It was great for the team and the fans, and it's like these guys are so entitled now that they think that has to happen every year or it's a failure. And rebuilding, what's that mean? Drafting a quarterback, he better be an all-star in his first season, right? It's like. That's not how this system works, guys. And, Drew Lock, who knows if he's the answer, but you can't just say, well, we're not winning right now, so we got to pick the next guy and see what we're...
It's funny you say that because I have a friend. So I lived in Denver for 5 years. I recently moved. But I have a friend that I used to work with, Fred, and we had this bet every year. Whoever had the better record, the Bills or the Broncos, whoever had the worst record would get $20. Or would have to pay $20, and I think I've got like $80 from him from the last 4 years.
That's right.
So I'm like skeptical. I should reach out to him again.
Cash in on that.
What's up? Because they started this bet the Super Bowl year. Right?
That's right. And then go get yourself a pie.
Yeah. Thanks for buying my Josh Allen jersey. I appreciate it. And thanks for passing on Josh Allen in the draft. Appreciate that.
Hey, doesn't it feel nice to? It feels great to have your franchise being recognized by not only Bills fans but the national media, NFL executives talk about how good of a job Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott have done, and along with the Pagulas. And then you have this storied franchise right down the street with a Hall of Fame quarterback at the helm and, a history of success. And it's like the Broncos refuse to take their medicine. Every team, after a so-called dynasty or a good run, you have to go through the rebuild phase. And the Broncos just refuse to take their medicine. Yeah. And this is it. This is what you get when you don't rebuild properly.
Right. You're seeing a lot of teams do that now. Like, the Patriots seem like one. You got to take your medicine. They're in the process of that right now, and I think they're learning the hard way.
So all those bandwagon fans are going to be gone real quick. It's going to disappear.
Right, and if you don't want to take your medicine, you need to take a quarterback, kind of like Green Bay's model, right? They take a quarterback a few years early, get them coached up. That way they're ready to play. You have Favre to Rodgers, and now they have Jordan Love, right? So I think it all starts with the quarterback as far as rebuilding, and the Broncos just refuse to take a quarterback. I just don't understand.
Yeah,
they took their shot on a few. They took their shot on a few. It just didn't work out. They've had a quarterback carousel since Peyton left. So.
That's true.
Yeah. But
Paxton Lynch was a first round pick.
But if you don't sell out and take a quarterback, that's the problem. See, they're flirting with the idea of quarterback, in my opinion. They haven't sold out and taken a quarterback. Right. Selling out means going in the top of the first round when you had an opportunity. No franchise should be like, you know what? Well, I don't know. I think there were 2 or 3 that year. I think there were 3. No, wait. What? There were 4. I think they were 4th or 5th when they took Bradley Chubb. But selling out.
Right.
Okay, so selling out would have been. That was the perfect year when you had 5 quarterbacks 5 first-round quarterbacks. You mean you can't take one? You take a pass rusher? Bradley Chubb's great, but the quarterback is the most important. Why would you do that? I just don't understand it.
Well, I mean, they had their choice. Lamar Jackson's there, Josh Rosen, Josh Allen's there. Josh Allen played ball only a few hours north from there. It just seemed like a good fit. Big arm guy, would do well in the altitude. Already, acclimated to altitude in Wyoming. Wyoming's actually higher altitude-wise than Denver. I don't get it. I don't know why they passed. I think they just probably had stuck to the board. But I think when you have early picks like that, sticking to the board kind of can bite you sometimes, right?
Yeah.
In that one instance, I think the whole draft, the board is really important. But like top 10, you need a quarterback. You got to get away from that a little bit and go all in, like you said.
Since Peyton Manning, they've had Brock Osweiler, Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, and they went back and forth on those 3 for a while, and then Case Keenum came in, obviously, for 1 year. Joe Flacco, they tried signing him, which we all knew that was not going to work out very well.
Right, that was probably the worst. That Monday night game, I forget who they played. When Joe Flacco started, that was the worst offensive performance I've ever seen. He was like 4 for 17.
And it's just been...
And they just
so it's not like that's the problem. Was that year they felt like Trevor Siemian was their guy, I guess, and that's when you make a decision like that, you have to realize you're kicking yourself in the back. That's not you're not going to succeed that way. So,
and the thing with the Broncos too is it's pretty telling that they kind of don't know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like going with Trevor Siemian. Taking Paxton Lynch in the first round. Is he out the league now? I mean, he was a big time bust.
Yeah, he look, that guy.
But and plus they tried to pay Brock Osweiler. They got beat out by the Texans, right? But they did offer him $16-17 million. He's out the league.
Yeah.
So there's just signs out there that they don't know what they're doing when it comes to quarterbacks and trying to get one.
Joe Flacco is a prime example. I mean, I understand the philosophy behind it. When you go out and you get Peyton Manning, right, at the end of his career, he has a few good years and so forth. But Joe Flacco has never, in my opinion, been a top-flight quarterback, ever.
No. I mean, he won with a good team and a good defense, obviously. And
right.
And he was capable of playing quarterback, but he was never really a MVP or top 5 guy, and especially when they signed him, he had come off an injury in the worst year of his career and looked horrible, and they're like, oh yeah, this is the guy we want to start for us this year.
Absolutely.
No, bad decision.
Yeah, dude, very bad decision. So yeah, we're gonna have to dish on these on these Broncos, and then you look at the development or lack thereof of Drew Lock, and I like that they drafted some really good wide receivers, but Drew Lock is a young quarterback, and you're putting a bunch of young rookie talent around him. Now, it does hurt him that they don't have Cortland Sutton, which in my opinion is a top 15 wide receiver in the league when healthy. But still, like, they go out and they get Noah Fant. I mean, they're doing all the wrong things while yet your offensive line is trash. I mean, you got Garrett Bowles, who coming in this year is a top offensive tackle in the league. But what else can you say about the rest of the offensive line? It's been what would we call it? Musical chairs at all these positions, and the free agent acquisitions. Cushenberry hasn't been good this year. I mean, it's a hot mess. So what do you think is going to happen with Drew Lock? Right, a second round quarterback out of Missouri. He didn't even get first round consideration.
And remember,
it was pretty odd.
And they're already giving up on him. He was. So I mean, you can't. When you only give a quarterback, you don't surround him with a game-ready team. These guys are all still learning and gelling too. And all of a sudden, he's not, a playoff caliber quarterback, and you want to ship him away and start all over again. You're never going to succeed in that pattern, right? You either have to have the team set up and bring in the rookie quarterback who's ready to play, or bring in the quarterback, spend the time developing him, put the pieces around him. But as has been said many times this week, they're developing the quarterback and the rest of the team at the same time, and when you do that, it's not going to work out well.
Yeah, and Drew Lock, the thing about him, he does show flashes of potential.
Certainly.
Just this last week, 4 touchdowns, leads his team to victory over a Panthers team. I mean, almost complete. You got 77% completion percentage last week.
Let's not get it twisted, though. That's the Carolina Panthers. They don't have a defense.
True,
That's not.
But it's the sign they needed from their quarterback to say, okay, what's going on here? Because he had injury again this season. You hate to see that from a young quarterback, like this first 2 years as a starter. And it's just really, really up and down with him. And it's a lot more downs this year to this point. So the fans in Denver finally got to see their up.
Yeah.
Right? And we'll see where it goes from there. But if you look at it as a whole, I got the game log up here. Just looking at the interceptions, there's a lot of games where there's more interceptions than touchdowns, and it doesn't seem like it's getting better for him.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a scheme thing. Is it coaching? I mean, what is, because like you mentioned, Drew Lock does have talent and potential, and coming into the season, I thought, okay, I think Drew Lock can be one of the breakout players of the league just based on what some of the late success he had late in the season with Courtland Sutton and those guys. I thought, okay, I think this guy can break out this year, but there's a problem, and I don't know what it is. I can't point to it. He just makes bonehead plays.
He's a gunslinger.
Yeah.
Pure and simple, this decision making. He thinks he can fit the ball in a tight window, and he's still not learning.
Right, but he hasn't really earned that title.
That you can't do that in this league.
A gunslinger is somebody who succeeds most of the time when they do it, but also you take the good with the bad with a gunslinger, right? They get big touchdowns, interceptions. Somebody like Fitzpatrick comes to mind. He's going to be Fitzmagic or Fitztragic. You just don't know when. But Drew Lock really hasn't shown enough of the magic side to deal with the interceptions and the mistakes at this point, this early in his career. And he does have to learn to, play the position to his full extent. He can't just be looking for all or nothing on these plays. And I've watched a lot of Broncos games this year, and I really haven't seen what you would like to see from a developing quarterback.
I feel like his career to this point is just like that Kansas City Chiefs game. The first drive.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Drew Lock looked sharp. Coming down, drove down the field. They're right outside the red zone, probably on the 30, Kansas City 30. And Drew Lock rolls out. He has athletic ability. He can roll out opposite his, the left side, tosses it up. There's 3 defenders there, picks it off, drive over.
I mean, the final score was 16-22 in that game, and they had the ball in the fourth quarter. And I was like, God, the Broncos should win this game. And they didn't because of Drew Lock's play. That's the position that they're, just not good enough at yet. And their defense played amazing in that game. Granted, that was before a few more injuries that they've dealt with on the defensive side. So I don't expect that kind of performance against the Bills. But, yeah, they should have won that game in Kansas City, versus Kansas City. And it was really disappointing to watch because you felt the letdown from the quarterback, and it hurt that team.
Yeah, I have a cash or trash question on that. So let's roll into cash or trash.
We're gonna do a little cash or trash. That's trash, bro. I'm gonna go cash on that.
And I'll kick it off with a Drew Lock statement. And Sterling, you can go first. Let me kick it off. Drew Lock will play in Denver for at least the next 2 seasons as the starter.
Nope,
cash
that
or
is trash. That's a fat trash. I just don't think I don't think they have the infrastructure to facilitate the patience to wait for Drew Lock to develop. I think John Elway is an impatient GM, and I'm not too sure that they have the right pieces when it comes to quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, to facilitate the maturation and growth that a young quarterback needs. I think he's kind of like Sam Darnold. I think he's at a place where he's already flawed, and if they don't hurry up and jump in and save this kid, it's going to be a lot of things that he's going to have to try to overcome that's just going to prolong his growth. So I think that you won't see him as a starter in the next 2 years.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree and go trash there because I think more about the front office, right? And the fan base, as we've said, they aren't accepting the fact that if Drew Lock is the guy, he needs to develop and be there. I'm not saying Drew Lock can't be a bona fide starter in this league in 2 years. I just don't think it'll be with the Denver Broncos because they're going to get frustrated enough and John Elway's going to cave and say, okay, it's time to move on before they really know what he is, before he reaches his full potential. So, I mean, I just don't see him being in Denver for the next 2 years. I think maybe he gets next year if he's lucky. And if they aren't a bona fide playoff team by next year, they're going to ship him off and move on to the next.
Yeah, next year is I think that's his last year, man. And I think he'll do better next year just because he'll have, they'll have a healthy roster in another year to get a high draft pick. And who knows what they do with that. They're probably going to be looking at a cornerback. But, I think that Drew Lock does have the talent. But again, as we've seen, Josh Allen being the outlier here, where you go matters. And if you're GM and head coach and your front office, like you mentioned, Anthony, isn't on board, just think he's already hearing chatter about him not being the guy.
Oh, yeah. He knew very well that these last 6 games were basically an audition for him for next year. He knows his job is on the line. And that definitely has to have an effect.
Right. I feel like that's easy to say. I mean, Drew Lock's only played 15 games, not even a full season yet. He's 8-7 as a starter. And, I mean, it's easy to say, okay, they're going to give up on him next year, but who do you go to?
Draft.
There's not a lot of options out there.
Again.
You got it. Yeah.
I mean, but do you do that this season? Do you give him another chance?
I mean, I don't know.
I agree he will not be there in the next 2 years. But I think unless they make a move this year, which they need to do in my opinion, Drew Lock will be the reason that this team is losing. Because, I mean, you look around, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, KJ Hamler look like they're going to be long-term starters for that team. They have a running game. They have a defensive-minded coach if they keep Vic Fangio.
The way
and Drew Lock will be
brought
the
it up
issue.
a little earlier, but the talk around Denver now is we have to trade for somebody who's ready to play. And one of the guys that's been mentioned is Matt Stafford. And sure, that sounds great in theory, but how many years does Matt Stafford have left to roll with this team and try and win now? He's certainly no Peyton Manning, and that's what they're looking for in that kind of trade. Oh, Peyton Manning did it for us, so why can't, Matt Stafford or even, some other quarterback that they can grab in a trade?
Yeah. I mean, I think Stafford's worth it to trade, but I think Stafford's contract's up, if I'm not mistaken.
So
he
might, and it might be time for a change of scenery for Matt Stafford. But here's the deal, and this is very Billsy of me to say, but the Denver Broncos are mirroring the Buffalo Bills in terms of dysfunction back in the day. The Broncos are sitting at 5-8 right now. Their draft position currently, they're ranked 11th. Who and what are you going to get at pick 11?
Yeah,
as far as a quarterback. I mean, unless you want Trey.
You're going to take a chance
on Trey Lance, which I would sign off on that. You could take a chance on the guy from BYU. He might be there at 11.
And that's it. That's your only two options.
Pretty much, that's it.
That's it. Or free agency.
Now, would you rather have Trey Lance or Drew Lock at quarterback?
Well,
I'd say Trey Lance.
At least you know what you got.
Here's the
at least
thing.
You know what you got in Drew Lock, and he has momentum and chemistry with the guys you have. I don't know that I waste the number 11 pick for another quarterback that you have to start over from scratch with. In that case, I would probably look for somebody in free agency if we are moving on from Drew Lock.
Well, I'd say if you absolutely know that Drew Lock is not the starter, maybe he's a capable backup, but he is not the starter that the team wants moving forward, then you have to go back to the table and roll the dice again.
Yeah, look.
You take Trey Lance, you roll the dice. He might be a 6. Right now you got a 3,
I'm going to give you 4 possible quarterbacks. Now, okay, here we go. Zach Wilson, BYU. I think he's a possibility. Trey Lance is a possibility. Now, Kyle Trask and Matt Jones and Desmond Ridder, those guys are intriguing prospects, right? But I don't think, as of right now, they're first round.
They're going to end up in another Trevor Siemian situation, right? Or Paxton Lynch. It's just not.
So your best bet is Zach Wilson and Trey Lance, and those are 2 pretty good prospects. if I'm the Broncos, look, the reason why I would move on from Drew Lock after the season is because I feel like his confidence is already shaken. Why don't you ship him out when you can get a 3rd-round pick, a 4th-round pick for him, or with a team that may have, send him to Jacksonville. Let him battle out with, Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
so cash in while you can. I think he's already broken. Get a guy. Now you get a rookie in there. Now you have wide receivers in the offense that, may be new to the new quarterback, but to the veterans or the second-year players, it's gonna feel it's gonna be a little bit better. So
well,
that's just
you're
my
writing him
opinion
off already, but you got to remember he just had the best game of his career versus
One game.
Carolina.
One
exactly,
game.
It's only one game, but that's why these last few games are his audition to say, "Am I ready?" And I think he's in for a rude awakening against our Buffalo Bills. Unfortunately for him, he's certainly not going to have a 4-touchdown performance. I think he could have a multiple interception 0-touchdown performance, and we're going to get to that later. But yeah, it's certainly not a good matchup for him. They do close out the season with the Chargers, who we know have been inconsistent at best, and then the Rams, or the Raiders. Sorry, 2 divisional opponents for them, who are it's going to be a tough matchup either way.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be easy for him to put a stranglehold on.
Yeah.
I got one more scenario for this conversation. Would you trade Drew Lock for Sam Darnold?
Absolutely.
Yes.
No question. No question.
I mean, is Drew Lock better?
No.
No,
I don't know.
No, he's not.
I don't
He is
think
not
so.
better than Sam Darnold.
I tell you, I've seen them both play.
But there's a lot of similarities in
But
their
here's-
stats
Eric.
anyway. Their play is
Eric.
definitely
But how many
different,
times have
but-
we said that Sam Darnold needs a better situation, right? That's wherever he goes next, he's going to be in a better situation than he was with the Jets. And that could be the Broncos, and he could very well lead this team to the playoffs, as is, whereas Drew Lock just isn't getting it done. So I think Sam Darnold would be a better replacement.
I love that. I love that scenario, Eric.
Drew Lock is a better. I think Drew Lock is a better playmaker than Sam Darnold. He makes plays happen, right? But the consistency, I can see Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam Darnold has, he needs some weapons. We really don't know what he is until he gets weapons like Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler.
They're not even on the same playing field, Eric. I'm sorry. They're not.
From an organizational standpoint, though, you can't even make that trade because there's so much uncertainty. You have so much uncertainty with Drew Lock. I don't think you would trade it for more uncertainty.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, Sam Darnold and Drew Lock are not on the same playing level. Like, Sam Darnold is just way better. His ceiling is much higher. Now, just consider what Sam Darnold has done with absolutely nothing with the worst franchise in football. I mean, he's
I think
had
that's a
some
trade
flashes
they take.
of.
John Elway,
I would do it.
If that's a potential trade for John Elway, he takes it. That's the answer. There's no question in my mind that he takes that trade because that's how he feels right now. And we'll see if he gets an opportunity to do so. If the Jets are moving on from Sam Darnold, as we assume, maybe the Broncos could be a fit for him.
Yeah,
he could be available. That's a very real scenario. All right, let's move on from that. Let's get into the Bills for a minute. How about we left off on this conversation last week, so I wanted to bring it up again just to put it to bed. The Bills should let Matt Milano walk in free agency and use the cap savings to help the offensive line. You have 5 offensive linemen on the last year of their contract as it stands right now. That's Ty Nsekhe, Feliciano, Winters, Darrell Williams, and Ike Bacher. So Sterling is
it's my
cash
turn.
or
He
trash?
went first last time. Trash. Absolute trash. I wasn't going to let him go first here. That is garbage. That's a sack of garbage with a pile of trash on top in a dumpster that's already been on fire at the Jets property, all right? This is hot garbage. Matt Milano is the center of this defense. When he is on that field, the whole entire defense plays better. Every single player on the defense plays better with Matt Milano on the field. Now, I don't know if that's a mental thing or his physical, what he does just matches the skill set of everyone else and lets them play to their strengths better. But Matt Milano is a key piece of this defense, and I want him to stay. Yes, that might mean not re-signing. Most likely it would be Darrell Williams since he's probably the biggest name free agent of that group. Brian Winters was a sack of garbage too, so we don't care that he's gone. But if we can manage to keep Ike Bacher and maybe another guy or sign a couple guys in free agency, as they have been with this offensive line. They certainly haven't shown a major investment in the offensive line besides the two that they are anchors right now, which is our center, was at the time the highest paid center in the NFL, and now Deion Dawkins, who just got his contract extension. So now you fill in the blanks between there, but on the defense, you have got to pay Matt Milano. And I think you could do it at a fairly bargain price unless somebody comes in and makes a ridiculous offer to him, which he's already said he wants to stay in Buffalo. Maybe it's 4 years, $12 million annually. Man, I'd sign him for that in a heartbeat. And you can do some contract magic. Obviously, you're going to have to make up for the cap situation there.
Let me know when you're done, because I'm about to go in on you now.
All right, go ahead. Listen, now it's your turn.
Okay, you definitely let Matt Milano walk. Josh Allen is the centerpiece of the offense. You already spent a first-round asset, or multiple assets, to get Tremaine Edmonds. Now, I love Matt Milano's game. He's had a problem with availability this year. I'm not going to penalize him on that. However, when you look at this coming year's draft, I could think of 3 or 4 guys, 5 guys that take his spot easily. Now, just think about it. AJ Klein is a very limited linebacker. I mean, very limited athletically, right? Coverage. Matt Milano is excellent in coverage. But Sean McDermott somehow schemed and protected AJ Klein to being a solid linebacker. They found a way to get him production. You have to re-sign Darrell Williams. He is an all-pro right tackle, and there is no debate about that. And he's come into form this past year. When people say, well, why didn't he do it last year? Well, because they had him on the left side, at left tackle and left guard. His niche is at right tackle, and that's where he flourished. Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have always known this. That's why they brought him in. You can't let John Feliciano go. John Feliciano is the heart and soul, along with Deion Dawkins, of that offensive line. So I think you'll be doing Josh Allen a disservice if you let those guys walk. I'll be damned. Go ahead. You can let go of Ike Bacher and Brian Winters. They shouldn't even be on the roster anyways. But I'm going to give you a couple names at linebacker that is probably better in 3 years than Matt Milano is. Here we go. If you want to go in the first round. No, but they can come in and be serviceable right now. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame. I would even throw in Dylan Moses from Alabama. Cameron McGrone from Michigan. Chaz Surratt from North Carolina. And I would even go with the 6'7", 6'7" Charles Snowden out of Virginia. These guys, they're athletic sideline to sideline linebackers that can play, right alongside Tremaine Edmonds, and because you have a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker already in Tremaine Edmonds, what better way to have him with a teacher like that? So you can afford to have a rookie right next to Tremaine Edmonds. I love Matt Milano's game, and I told you guys even before this season started, when we were in last season, that I think they should probably move on from Matt Milano.
Yeah, you wanted to trade him then, and I went crazy on you.
Right.
The facts don't change, though. When Matt Milano is on the field, this defense is elite. When Matt Milano is not on the field, the defense sucks. Period.
It's skewed.
Absolutely sucks. How is it skewed?
It's skewed.
You're literally looking at him on the field, not. All of the stats get worse when Matt Milano is not out there.
Right.
Our defense becomes a liability when Matt Milano is out there, not out there. And you want to say you're going to throw some rookie out there and he's going to fill Matt Milano's role? No. He's not Matt Milano. He doesn't have the chemistry with Edmonds and the other guys. He doesn't have the skill set. A rookie doesn't have the skill set that Matt Milano does right now.
Wait, are you serious?
You cannot afford. Did you forget that we have a defensive head coach whose primary defensive position is linebacker? That the entire defense revolves around linebacker?
Let me ask you a question. What round was Matt Milano drafted in?
5th.
What position did Matt Milano play?
They had time to develop Matt Milano. They do
point.
not have
That's
time. There's
point.
no
Yes,
time to develop.
You don't have
absolutely not.
You don't have the luxury of having 2 linebackers at a $10 million plus salary. You're not going to draft Tremaine Edmonds because you're going to have to pay him the same time you're going to have to pay Josh Allen. You don't have the cap space to have your linebacker room that heavy.
You don't have the cap space. to spend $80 million on an offensive line. You already paid Deion Dawkins and Mitch Morse. Now you're going to make Darrell Williams the highest paid right tackle because he's going to get an offer like that. You're not paying Darrell Williams. He's gone. Darrell Williams will not be on this team next year.
Hold on, stop. So you're telling me right now, because if you ask me what they're going to pay Matt Milano, it's going to be the same amount of money they will pay a Darrell Williams, because they're going to be asking north of $10 million, both of them. Between the $10 to $12 million range, that's what they're both going to get. So you mean to tell me that Josh Allen is not the most important piece of the offense? Linebacker is way more easier to replace than a right tackle. That ends the discussion right there. As much as I love Matt Milano, and I agree with you to an extent, the defense plays lights out when he's out there. But that's not just because of him. That's because of people doing their 111th. Now, if you want to shade cap space,
only when he's on the field, all of a sudden everybody can only do their 111th when Matt Milano's on the field.
No.
Yes,
that's not what I'm saying.
The point of having him. Well, that's what the results tell us.
He's not Lawrence Taylor. He's not
Dude,
Ray Lewis.
Whatever it is he does, the defense sucks when he's not out there, and they're good when he is. Period. Look at all the games when he's been gone.
All right. It's my turn for a second. Look, but you gotta look at the Carolina Panthers. When you talk about Brandon Beane, you talk about Sean McDermott, and this defense, it was always Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis, right? Two linebackers. They value the linebacker position. Name one lineman from the Carolina Panthers in the last 10 years.
Darrell Williams.
Few to none. So to
but
me,
there's a difference.
They don't value the offensive line like they do the linebacker position.
There is a difference now. Is that you have a real franchise quarterback? That is the difference.
I can definitely agree with that.
Difference.
But look at what they've done.
Thomas Davis. You have to look at it. You have to look at it not from a macro lens, but look at it from a micro lens. Thomas Davis was the heart and soul of that defense. He was the guy. You know, how many times did he run up for Walter Payton Man of the Year? Thomas Davis was the spiritual leader,
great dude.
and they're all about leadership.
Matt Milano's pretty good dude too.
Matt Milano is not the leader that he doesn't even sniff the leader that they're not even on the same playing field. All I'm saying is you have to look at it from a micro lens. From a cap space, you're going to be paying Josh Allen Josh Allen has entered the $40 million a year conversation. That's hefty. And so if I'm going to pay a quarterback $40 million a year with a quarterback who also plays just a tiny bit reckless and physical, I need the best protection up front. I love Matt Milano. If we can keep them both, we got to keep them both. But we're going to start having to make sacrificial casualties on this football team. They're going to have to rely more on their drafting.
What kind of a deal did they sign Darrell Williams to? A 1-year deal.
Right now he's on a
$2 million.
1 year, $2.5 million.
What a steal, right? This is what they do.
Seasons.
Look at what they do. So next year, guess what's going to happen? We're going to find injury-riddled offensive linemen who play better because McDermott and Beane rely on their scouts, trust the guys who are making these assessments, and they've never.
Hey, I got Cody Ford. Cody Ford. That's all I got to say. They whiffed on Cody Ford.
Did Anthony finally croak?
He's probably so red right now that he
I hit them. Somebody tried to mute me.
Okay.
Somebody tried to mute me here. Look at what they've done over the years. You just have to see. This is what McDermott and Beane have done. They rely on their scouting. They say we're going to find a bargain guy. We're going to put an offensive line that's affordable together. They already have their anchors at offensive line, at left tackle, and at center. They are definitely drafting. There's no doubt in any of our minds we're drafting offensive linemen this year because, as Eric said to start this, there's 5 free agents. We're going to have basically 2 new guards. Or, we have to re-sign a guard.
Yeah,
so if you
number one
and
priority
Feliciano,
is guard,
look at Feliciano's impact on this team. I would rather re-sign Feliciano, let Darrell Williams walk, and find the next right tackle, either in the draft or free agency or both, and continue to work on that way and until you develop the next right tackle that looks like he can be there long term.
Yeah, and I think if you start small, like if you look at Tyler Kroft, he's not coming back. You save $5 million right there. He's on a
be careful what you say.
$4 million contract
because
I would get rid of some of the
defensive
defensive linemen.
Agent. He's a free agent.
He'll be a free agent, but I'm saying they're not going to resign him. So
but
that money,
no, it's not. No, that's not how it works. he just walks away. We only have a certain amount of cap space. That does not include Tyler Kroft, right? He's not on the team next year. So,
but we're talking 2021 cap.
He's already a free agent next year.
If you want people to release, Trent Murphy's one.
Whoa, pause. Trent Murphy is not a release. You don't release a free agent. Trent Murphy is a free agent next year.
Oh, he's a free agent
dead
next
to
year?
us.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay.
He's not on the books.
Well, hold on.
Him.
Calm down. I got a couple more for you. Get rid of Vernon Butler. Get rid of Mario Addison. What have you done for me? That's not tough.
Addison has had a good year for that.
What has he done?
What do you mean? He's been one of our primary pass rushers.
Would you rather have Mario Addison or freaking Matt Milano?
Of course I'd go Matt Milano.
There you go. And that's how you can fit
You're
him
very
in there
well
that way.
right. I think in all of our minds, the ideal situation is to keep both Darrell Williams and Matt Milano. Can we agree to that at least?
Absolutely.
If they can find a way, yes, go ahead, cut Addison, find a draft or find another defensive end who can be our primary pass rusher, along with hopefully developing A.J. Epinesa, and then, we can get something going there. But they did structure those three contracts this offseason so that they were cuttable after 1 year. So we'll see. You've got Butler, you've got Addison, and you've got what's his name, who's the third, who we signed this past year. That can all be
Quentin Jefferson.
Quentin Jefferson, who are all cuttable contracts.
I'd say you're going to have to get rid of two of them. I mean, if you're going to keep Feliciano, Williams, and Milano, which that will be great. If you're going to have to cut some people. And you can go draft a defensive end. I mean, let Jerry Hughes finish out his little contract that he has. But yeah, the Bills are going to have to start moving some pieces up front. They're going to have to prepare for this Josh Allen mega contract, along with Tremaine Edmonds. It's happening. And so there's going to be guys that we like. They're gonna go.
I just think from what we've seen from Brandon Beane to this point, they don't value the offensive line, right, as much as we think they do. I think they got their center. They've said over and over again, center is the most important piece on the line. And Deion Dawkins is a team captain. He's been here longer than anybody else in that room. So I think those two things they value, the center being the leader, Deion Dawkins being a team captain. The rest, I think you figure it out in the draft and then do what they do. They work their magic in free agency, and they get a lot of production for a low price. Linebacker, they haven't made those types of moves. They've had these two guys the entire time. So they're key pieces. I think Matt Milano is a key piece to cap it off the conversation. All right, I got one more for you before we move on. The Bills can win the division this weekend if they beat the Broncos or Miami loses to the Patriots. And then they can clinch a playoff berth if the Ravens lose to the Jaguars. So I'm saying, Sterling, we're on you. There is a higher chance that the Bills lose to the Broncos than the Ravens lose to the Jaguars.
Yeah, that's cash,
trash.
but they're not losing. The Bills are not losing on Saturday. It's just not happening. And then you look at the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots. Okay, the Patriots aren't beating the Dolphins. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to digress on that because Bill Belichick's record with rookie quarterbacks, y'all should go check it. It's pretty astonishing. That could be an upset. However, I do think the Bills haven't had this kind of opportunity since 1995. I mean, they are going to come in here. They're going to be dialed in, and they're going to wax these freaking Broncos. I'm sorry, but I'm not even worried about it. They're going to beat the shit out of them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to agree with Sterling here. I also would have to say cash, or which way did you put it? Either way, the Bills have a
better chance to lose
no trash
than the Ravens, right? No,
the Bills do not have the Bills' chances of losing to the Broncos are less than the Baltimore Ravens' chances of losing to Jacksonville. Baltimore has come out and had stinker games this year, even with everybody healthy, and they've lost to teams they shouldn't have lost to. That's why they're in the position they are now. So after a tough-fought game versus Cleveland, I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and they aren't as good-looking as they were on that Monday night game against a much subpar team in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Jacksonville's not trying to win that game, so they definitely don't want to win, and I would be absolutely shocked if they do. But I'm much more confident knowing that the Buffalo Bills have come to play and that they are going to beat the Denver Broncos than guaranteeing that Baltimore is going to beat Jacksonville.
Yeah, look, what a great position to be in, right? So it's also not a great argument because if the Bills win the division, obviously they're in the playoffs, right? So then if the Ravens lose, they clinch a playoff berth. It just doesn't make sense, but that's what Adam Schefter put out. But what a great position for us to be in. It looks like the Bills are going to be in the playoffs and win the division. And they're going to host a home playoff game for the first time since 1995. How does that feel?
It doesn't even feel real right now.
Oh, man.
We'll see how it feels on Saturday evening, right? When the Bills win, it's going to be just, I don't even know. You'll have to ask me then. I do not know what this feels like to win the division.
Yeah, I had no idea. I'm definitely getting a hat, though. I think it'll be the highest sales for those types of things. The division champion shirt with the hat. I bet they get the most sales.
That's right. Until this is an annual occurrence,
cash
this one's
trash.
going to be that cash, right? Yeah. All cash, literally. Just take my cash.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. We have our 5 for 5, and then we'll dive into the Broncos matchup. Anthony, why don't you kick us off?
All right, folks. It's time for the 5 for 5 for this week. You know, last week I was hoping to have another strong outing. Unfortunately, we only went 2-3 in my picks. Big letdown from a couple of the teams there. The Saints, obviously, with the big loss to the Eagles. And then the Giants losing to Arizona. So those were 2 big losses last week. And, you know, so we only had the 2-3. But this week, we're ready to kick it off. I want to go 5-0 this week. So I'm taking the teams that I'm most confident in. And let's kick it off with the Indianapolis Colts, who are playing great football right now and are ready for the playoffs. -6.5 versus the Houston at home versus Houston too. So the Texans, obviously, you know, they have a quarterback who is an absolute stud and star, but he can't do it all on his own. And we saw some glimpses of that last week. And this Indy defense is tough. So I'm taking Indy -6.5 versus Houston as my big bet of the week. My second team is the Steelers, -11 at Cincinnati. I honestly feel here that the Steelers want to redeem themselves from 2 tough losses these last couple of weeks and prove that they're still a good team. And they're playing one of the worst teams in football, so we know that they want to make a statement there. So I'm taking the Steelers -11 at Cincinnati. I'm also going with the Vikings -3 versus Chicago. Chicago had an offensive outburst last week, but I honestly don't expect that to stand. I'm taking the Vikings -3. Their offense is just too good. I think they're going to exploit that Chicago defense. The fourth team I'm taking, we mentioned this game a little bit, but I'm taking the Dolphins -2.5 versus New England. I think New England has started to spiral. They don't know what's going on at quarterback. They don't have the leadership. Miami's defense is strong. This team is clicking. Tua's doing what he needs to do to find the W's. I'm taking the Dolphins -2.5 versus New England. And my fifth pick of the week, I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens -12.5 versus Jacksonville. I know I just said I'm not as confident in that game as I am in Buffalo, but the Ravens are, you know, they have enough of offense and run game that I feel like this is a game, again, that Jacksonville doesn't want to win. They're just going to get embarrassed by the Ravens, so I'm taking them -12.5. So there you go, my 5 picks of the week. Indy -6.5 versus Houston. The Steelers -11 versus Cincinnati. The Vikings -3 versus Chicago. The Dolphins -2.5 versus New England. And the Ravens -12.5 versus Jacksonville. Let's do it. Let's go 5-0 this week, baby.
There's some pretty favorable matchups this week, you know, unlike weeks past, but when it comes to betting. But let's dive into this Broncos team. The Bills are headed out west. Meaningful football in mid-December. It'll be on NFL Network, 4:30 on Saturday. A little different for a Bills game. But they have Adam Amon and Mark Schlereth. One of my favorites is definitely Mark Schlereth, local guy in Denver.
He's a Denver guy.
So I'm a fan of him.
Come on, he's a Denver guy. He's going to be so unbelievably biased in this game.
Well, I mean, that's true. That's true, but it's funny, right? He makes me laugh, okay? Keeps it real. Guy knows football. I'm into that. But one stat I wanted to point out before we get into the Bills offense versus the Broncos defense. The Broncos are -18 in turnover ratio. It's 32nd in the league.
Wow,
-18.
That's really, really bad. And as I said earlier, that's what I think one of their Achilles heels is going to be in this game. I think Drew Lock has not faced a defense like our defense, and those guys are going to be ready to snatch the ball.
Right, and then he's coming out and saying he's not afraid to throw it to Trey White. I mean, look, kid, you don't need the extra attention.
Well,
you don't
on that note, he said that, but his coaches are telling him otherwise. I guarantee you that. They're like, look, every single play, whoever's on Trey White is your second or third read. Don't look at them. Look at the other guy.
All right, so let's dive in. Bills offense versus Broncos defense. We already mentioned Bradley Chubb. What do the Bills have to do, Sterling, to easily get a W in this game?
I think they need to stick to what's been working. Trying to go in this game, if you try to go in here run heavy, I mean, that's really not who you are. Now, I know that the Broncos, they're not great late in games, but it shouldn't even have to come to that. They do have a stout defensive line. Like Shelby Harris is a really good defensive tackle. And, of course, Bradley Chubb, they got two solid linebackers in the middle. And Fangio has these guys playing really well at times, right? Based on, the injuries and so forth. But if I'm the Bills, it's the same philosophy that I had last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here's the deal. They don't have the cornerbacks to match up with us. So why not? You can use your passing game as sort of your run game. If you want to throw short passes to get guys in space and to make plays and get yak, that's what you need to do. I don't think the game plan changes. I still think, and you might want to throw the ball deep a few times, actually, because although they do have two great safeties in the back end, but their cornerbacks, I mean, who's starting at cornerback for the Denver Broncos this week? It looks like you're going to have Michael Ojemudia, and the other cornerback is probably Devontae Bosby. Like, who's that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Who is that guy? So, I think you test these corners. Give them a welcome. Here's your NFL moment kind of. Stephon Diggs needs a big game here. Look, we need a win. This is not a charity event. This is the Bills. They need to come in and take care of business. So I'm throwing the ball all over the yard. It's going to be 40-something degrees in Denver, which in Buffalo weather, that's cold. But in Denver, that is a freaking breeze. You guys will call it 60 degrees, bro, because it's going to be so nice. No precipitation, no wind. Josh Allen, have a freaking day.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Sterling. It's their defense has been playing better than people thought coming into the season, especially with the loss of Von Miller and the rest of the guys that have been injured on that team. Bradley Chubb is a threat for sure. I know he had some kind of injury and came out, but then came back in the game last week, and he's fully healthy this week. He's not on the injury report, but so he's a guy to look out for. But look at the teams we've already played and beaten. They've had guys, I would argue, better than Bradley Chubb even. You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, you look at the defensive line of the San Francisco 49ers, you look at the Rams, teams that we've beaten this year have better defensive lines, better players on them. And that was without our starting offensive line, without Brian Winters seeing time. So I think Josh Allen is just going to exploit those cornerbacks. I mean, our wide receivers are going to get open. John Brown is not playing in this game. He's not coming back this weekend. He'll be ready for the New England game, we hope, we expect, but we don't need him. I think that with Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs, nobody on this team can cover Stephon Diggs, not even those great safeties that they do have. But so Diggs is going to be open on a lot of plays. That means if you double cover Diggs or you lean to his side, now you're going to leave the field open for Cole Beasley and Gabriel Davis, who have been making plays also. And then over the middle, I think they're weak too. Dawson Knox could have a huge game in this game. They're also pretty weak against the run. I think they're bottom 10 against the run. So, we're going to have a run game going in this game. So it's just going to be an onslaught of Buffalo Bills offense in this game. I honestly feel like the Bills offense, the way we've been playing, the way we've been clicking, this Broncos defense has not played a team this well the entire year. And they have played the Kansas City Chiefs, and they played them well. But that's a division rival who they played up and ready for, and totally different football than what the Buffalo Bills have. And that was, like I mentioned earlier, before they had even more injuries at the cornerback position and suspension, really, also on this team. So, I mean, it's going to be an onslaught of Bills offense.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I say just do whatever you got to do. Score points. I think the Bills have lots of options to score points in this game, right? It's a defeated team. The secondary's damaged. I mean, I say the offense is really bad on third down, right? Third down percentage for the Broncos is 38%, 27th in the league. I think the Bills' offense will be on the field the majority of the game. I say just score as many points as possible. Let's get in the 40s. Let's get that average up, points per game average. They're up 8 points this year compared to last year. Let's blow that off the doors. Let's get it up to 10. And this is a good opportunity to get that. I think Stephon Diggs has 100 receptions already. Let's keep it going. I think that's the Bills' record.
If he catches another more,
if he gets 101. Yeah, so let's give him 10. This is the week to have fun. This is why football's fun. Let's win by double-digit points, and I think the Bills will have no problem doing that. So let's flip it over. Let's go the Broncos offense versus this Bills defense. How can Drew Lock ruin the Bills' day?
Well, I think what he's gonna have to do if he wants to have success against the Bills' defense, he's got to get the ball out quick and early to his playmakers. KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy. Those guys. Tim Patrick's been having a decent year. I think you want to get the ball out quick and get them to the playmakers' hands. They do have Deshaun Hamilton, so these are guys that can blow the top off of defense. So if you want to throw some quick screens, some stuff over the middle, kind of test the Buffalo linebackers, force them to make plays and so forth. I think that's the way you do it. Now, this is a quarterback in Drew Lock who does not get the ball out very quick. And in fact, he's one of the worst quarterbacks to holding on to the ball. And Sean McDermott's going to confuse him. But that's the only way that I feel like the Broncos can have success. And if they can find success in the run game, that's another way that right. can facilitate them to hang in this ball game.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was going to mention. I think you mentioned the word confusion. The Broncos are going to have to find a way to confuse the Bills' defense, and I'm not sure how they are going to do that. I don't believe they will, but one of the things they're going to have to do is establish the run. They're going to have to establish the run with their two backs that they have, Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay, both very capable backs. They're questionable but expected to play in this game. If they can establish those guys and get good yardage on their run plays, and, fake out the defense, Bills defense, that they're going to pass when they actually hand it off and run. They do like to run a lot of outside run plays, flips and everything like that, tipping it off to the running back on the opposite side and all that. The Bills are going to be ready for that, though. I honestly think the past couple of weeks, the Bills have shut down good run games. The Broncos are going to have to establish that run game and then confuse the Bills defense as to when they're going to run or pass. And, with our backfield, they do have playmakers on this team, Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler, but we're talking about rookies going against our star-studded backfield. And as we know, Levi Wallace has to have another game like he did last week because he's going to be targeted, regardless of who's there, be it Hamler or Jerry Jeudy or Patrick. It's going to be Drew Lock's best friend is finding whoever Levi Wallace is covering, and Levi's got to be ready, and I think they will be. I think Drew Lock throws multiple interceptions in this game, multiple turnovers. We haven't even talked about the Broncos' offensive line will have to play a stellar game and have stellar communication because that's one weakness that they've had the past few weeks, and the Bills are going to exploit that. And if they're going to try and beat the Bills, they better play their best game we've ever seen. And again, I just don't expect that to happen. I'd imagine that Drew Lock is going to be under pressure a lot in this game. And similar to what we saw with Big Ben, even though he likes getting the ball out quick, it's going to have to be even quicker and even faster, and our guys are going to be ready for that.
Yeah, not to mention Garrett Bowles and Noah Fant have both had food poisoning this week. So we'll see if – I'm not sure if they're going to play.
Fant was full health. He's back. Yes.
He's full health, so he's back. So he's definitely going to be a factor. But you got to think that had an impact on their preparation for the week. Not being able to practice, being sick. Who wants to study film when you have food poisoning? But anyway, Noah Fant is dangerous. I think he can be. I think he is the biggest threat for the offense for the Broncos. And if he can make a play on you. I mean, he can burn a linebacker. I mean, that's what he's known for. He's fast. Being that big and that fast is kind of rare.
But who's going to cover him?
Exactly.
Matt Milano.
Exactly.
Matt Milano.
Matt Milano.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if there was a threat to pay attention to,
definitely.
that's it for me. And I think the Broncos can run the football. I think Melvin Gordon, you see a highlight from him every week, busting out a 20-yard run. I think he's very capable of blowing this game up and making a 100-yard game, right? Philip Lindsay added to that as well. So I say focus on the run, confuse these rookie receivers, and get some turnovers. I mean, it seems like they're handing them out like candy, so why not take some of those? And it should be a smooth win. I'd be shocked if this game was close, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So let's go around one more
well,
time. Let's
before
do
that,
our
I do want to
prediction.
mention another big factor in this game that I just found out today as we were prepping for the podcast. Brandon McManus is not playing in this game. The Broncos kicker is out for this game. And because he was a close contact of somebody who had COVID outside the facility. So he's the only one, but he is out for this game, and that's a huge factor for them. Now, do you trust the guy you're bringing in who was, I forget his name, but he's like he was in the XFL kicking, and now not only is that guy going to be the one kicking your field goals, who's never kicked a field goal here in Denver, now he's also going to be your kickoff guy. And we know that Bill's special teams is strong right now, and we might end up seeing a return touchdown because this kicker is coming in who's, hasn't been acclimated to this team, and that could be a huge X factor in this game as well.
Is that a bold prediction?
We'll see. Let's go do it. You want me to start with my bold predictions? Because I'll give you mine. My bold predictions are this. I think the Bills score in all three phases of this game. Special teams return, a defensive touchdown, and obviously a lot on offense. I just think this Bills team outmatches the Broncos in every way, shape, and form. I just gave you the reason why I think we'll have a special teams return touchdown, Andre Roberts. He's been getting close. We know we wanted one. We just had our first defensive touchdown last week in what feels like 1,000 games. And this is another opportunity where I think, as we've said, they turn the ball over a lot, and our guys are going to capitalize on that. I think we score another defensive touchdown. So touchdowns in all three phases of the game in this one. 3 turnovers by Drew Lock, and a final score of 51-3 Buffalo.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's not the first time you said that.
On Tuesday,
we talk about bold predictions. Let's just go ahead and bow down to me right now because I predicted that the Bills would get a defensive touchdown. So
you also predicted one thing right, and we're bowing down to you. You thought the Bills would give up 24 points to that offense, and one of the touchdowns was handed to them.
20 points.
Let a man have his
You got
moment,
one thing
okay?
right. Congrats.
Wow, I get many things right that I don't gloat about, unlike Anthony over there. But anyway,
What else have you gotten right all season? Tell me. Go ahead. Your record is nothing compared to mine, and we know it. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it.
I don't even get. Look. When we talk about Bill's knowledge, you know I got you all day on that. But let's
really? Let's go. You can play back the tape, buddy, because you know it.
Oh my God, Anthony.
Let's go back to last year's episode.
Anthony,
we'll still get you going.
You don't want that. You don't want that smoke, Anthony. But anyway, if we're going on Bill's bold predictions for this week's game, I'm going to say the defense has 3 interceptions. I'm going to go with 3 interceptions, and Stephon Diggs gets 120 yards receiving. Is that bold? I don't know, but 3 interceptions I think is something that it'd be cool to see.
Yeah. What's the score for you? I can't remember what you said Tuesday.
For this game, I don't remember. I said a lot of stuff on Tuesday.
It's called celebration.
Right. I'm going to go 35-13 Bills.
All right. And I'll say Trey White has more interceptions than Jerry Jeudy has receptions.
Oh, I love it. That's a great one.
2 picks?
Because 2 picks. Well, I mean, Judy's been kind of quiet. Maybe he gets no catches, right? So even 1 pick for Trey White. Who knows? But I think he'll be the focal point, for Trey White, Levi Wallace, and Jeudy being a rookie. He was quiet last week. So I think that's a good one in this game. And I'm going to go, like I said, let's go in the 40s here. 43-25.
25 points.
25?
You think they scored 25 points against our defense?
Yeah, I mean, look, Drew Lock, he he slings it all over the place. He'll have his interceptions, but once in a
I
while,
know
he
the
makes
Bills
a hell of
give
a
up
throw
in
and
garbage
scores
time, and
points.
they can do that. And maybe the fourth quarter has an effect because of the air up here in Denver. That the altitude might affect them.
Yeah.
But still, that's a lot of points to this Broncos team. I will be upset if they score 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, they're averaging 19.8, 20
man.
points a game, so they go above their average. Like you said, if the Bills go up 30-3, why not bench the defense, give them some rest, and then maybe the Broncos make a run for it.
That's
Who
fair.
knows?
I mean, it's you never know, man. And if the Bills are scoring at the clip that we expect them to, that means more opportunities for Drew Lock, so they could get some garbage points in here.
All right, so let's go. Let's kick it off with our picks, and we'll wrap up the show. Get everybody ready for Saturday. Let's go Saturday night after the Bills game, 8:15 Eastern. Panthers at the Packers.
Oh,
Who
go
wants
ahead,
it first?
Anthony. You're the expert here.
I'm taking the Packers in this one. I mean, they're going to win the game. The Panthers are unfortunately playing without their running back yet again. Christian McCaffrey only played in a couple games this year. So I think that puts them at a disadvantage. I don't trust this Green Bay team. I think they could lose. If Christian McCaffrey was in this game, it might be a different story, but unfortunately he's not, so I'm taking Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers here. Packers are playing at home. Well, I think the line is what? What's the line on this? 8?
9 points, I think, the last time.
9 points?
I did take Carolina plus 9.
Yeah, I think the Packers win handily. They're not going to have an answer for Devontae Adams. He's been ripping people to shreds. The guy had 91 receptions, 14 touchdowns this year. So I think the Packers get this one at home.
Yeah, I'll go Packers as well, just because they're defending that number 1 seed, and it's more important this year than it ever has been. So I think they recognize that. They get a big win. Let's go 5-8 49ers at the 4-9 Cowboys. Big game on Sunday.
Anthony?
I'm taking the 49ers in this one. I just don't trust the Cowboys, so I think the 49ers will pull off a win here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with San Francisco. I think Nick Mullins will have a pretty decent game this week. So maybe over 250 to 300 yards passing. I can see that from Nick Mullins.
I think Mike McCarthy's getting a lot of heat, and Kyle Shanahan is not, because he's in a bad situation with injuries and things like that. I'll take the Cowboys at home in this one. They need to get some wins to go into next season. Let's go 9-4 Seattle at the football team at 6-7, playing for the division.
This is going to be a good game, I think. But I do have Seattle winning it, just because I think their team has more experience in these type of big games that really matter to both teams. I took Seattle to win it, but I have Washington plus 5.5. So we'll see if it stays a close game, but I have to go with the leadership and the experience in the Seahawks, so I'm taking them.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the Washington football team here. I just think that their front seven is too much for the Seattle offensive line to handle. I think they're going to stop the running game. I think they have the athletes on the defensive line and the edges to contain Russell Wilson from making plays outside the pocket. And I think, with Alex Smith is a quarterback that bends but doesn't break. He's going to take whatever the defense is giving him. And we know that the Seattle defense is not very good. And I really do like the rookie Antonio Gibson. So I'm going to go watch the football team here.
Gibson's out in this game, but yeah.
Oh,
we got to get this football.
Yeah,
oh, really?
McKissick's the starter. Gibson's been out the last 2. Expected to be out this week as well.
We got to get this football team a name. I'm getting tired of saying football team. But I'm going to go Seattle. I mean, Seattle, like you said, Anthony, I'll go with the leadership of Russell Wilson, but I don't think the football team's offense can generate enough points to beat Seattle. So I'll go Bears at Vikings.
Yeah, you saw this one in my 5 for 5. I'm taking the Vikings. I just think they're the better team. Chicago's played inconsistently. They exploded on offense, but I don't think they do that again this week. And if they do, the Vikings are capable of scoring more.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings here. The Bears scored enough points last week that they're going to get all the rest of the year combined. So I don't think they have it on offense to keep up with Dalvin Cook in this offense. I mean, and Justin Jefferson's been balling out too. So I just think the Vikings at home will take care of the Bears.
Yeah, if you love ground and pound football, this is the game, right? These teams are identical as far as scheme. run the ball, play good defense. Our quarterbacks suck. But I think Kirk Cousins will just be a little better than Trubisky, and I'll take the Vikings at home. 6-7 Patriots at the 8-5 Dolphins. I hate to say it, but we need the Patriots.
Gross. No, it's not going to happen. The Patriots are absolutely horrible. They suck. The Dolphins are playing good right now, and they're going to win this game at home. It's in my 5 for 5 as well, but yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins.
I'm going to take the Patriots in this game just because I need some separation from the Dolphins. Let's let these two knuckleheads beat up on each other.
Well, let's say this again. I'll remind you both that we need zero help to win this division. We just need to win.
We don't need help.
So
I need the Patriots. Hold on. I need the Patriots to at least be at 500. It just ruins their draft chances. That's all. So Patriots, please get a win. Get another win. That'd be great.
All things are true, but look, Bill Belichick against rookie quarterbacks. Look at his record. End of discussion. I mean, Patriots win this one, in my opinion. Let's go the 1-12 Jaguars at the 8-5 Ravens.
We're going in order here, but I'm taking the Ravens. I took them with the points here. I think they're gonna also in my 5 for 5. I just think they're gonna overwhelm Jacksonville. Jacksonville doesn't want to win, so.
Yeah, no, Jacksonville, they definitely don't want to win. And what has happened to DJ Chark this year? I mean, quarterback play definitely has.
Takes two to
tango, man. And I think the Ravens they probably have finally woken up with that big win on Monday night. So I think they handle the Jaguars easily.
Well, there is one guy who wants to win for the Jaguars, and that's Minshew, because they're going to draft his replacement next year. So I'm still going to take the Ravens, but I think he'll come out and play hard. He's been out for a while. It's his first game back. All right, 8-5 Buccaneers at the 4-9 Falcons.
It kills me to say this, but I'm taking the Bucs just because, anytime I take the Falcons, they win or they lose, and when I don't pick them, they win. So I'm taking the Bucs.
Yeah.
This could be the game we see Blaine Gabbert.
Maybe.
Oh boy. I'm going to go with the Falcons just because Anthony didn't pick them this week. And the fact that Brady and they're 8-5 and their little smug face, and you got, what's his name? Bruce Arians talking about they can score on anybody. Well, if you can't score consistently against the Falcons and that trash defense, all y'all need to be fired. So
they better put up like 45 in this game because that Falcons defense is terrible.
They better put up 40 in the first quarter.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to hear no excuses. No excuses.
Yeah. I think Tampa's getting cocky as of late, and I think the Falcons will have this one circled. I think they have a good week of preparation and pull out.
I don't like it. I hate that they're doing that.
Not
I hate that they're doing that.
Yeah, why are they getting all cocky? You're not good. They're probably the most cocky team in the league, wouldn't you say?
But I don't like it.
The most overrated team in the NFL by far.
We can do whatever we want.
I want you to lose every game now.
Yeah, and I think the Falcons feel that way too. So let's go 5-8 Lions at the 9-4 Tennessee Titans.
Who is going to have an answer for Derrick Henry?
It's all Titans here. I mean, again, Detroit kind of had the wind taken out of their sails. Matt Stafford has been dealing with injury. This team, I just feel like the Titans are going to overwhelm them this one.
Yeah, Titans all the way in that one. Derrick Henry probably have a 200-yard rushing game on the ground.
Yeah, the Titans can score at will in this one, in my opinion. Titans all day. 4-9 Texans at the 9-4 Colts. Deshaun Watson coming off a big game last week.
As much as I want to say the Colts are going to win, I just don't feel like the Colts have that killer instinct in them. And I think that they're going to let a team like the Texans hang in late, and you're going to see some of the Deshaun Watson heroics, and I think they're going to squeak one out by a field goal. Texans.
I bet with the Colts on this one, so they're my big bet of the week. I just think they're playing really good football. They're maintaining it. They have a great coach, and they know what they're doing. And Houston, even with their quarterback, Watson, who is a superstar, I just don't see how they're going to deal with this defense now that they've lost so many pieces on that offense. So I'm taking Indy.
Yeah, I'll go Indy as well because there is playoff stuff on the line. But, the Texans have kept most of their division games within one score. So I think it will be close. They do have a chance to win, but I think Indy pulls it out late. So, moving on, let's go the 4-8-1 Jalen Hurts-led Eagles at the Arizona Cardinals. This should be a fun game to watch.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
I'm taking the Eagles. I like Jalen Hurts. I think he played very well. I was worried about this. I mentioned it on the last show. Well, we're picking against him, even though he came in and looked good because he's a rookie. But Arizona, even though they played well against the Giants last week, they have been faltering lately, and the Eagles have something to prove now that they have a guy they can rally behind. It's not looking good for Carson Wentz, as we talked about before, but yeah, I'm taking the Eagles.
yeah, I'm going to go with the Cardinals here. The Eagles are 1-5 away this season, and they're traveling to Arizona. You got a young quarterback on a road game. We got to see what Jalen Hurts is made of on this road game, and I'm happy to declare that the Kyler Murray, he's not in MVP discussions anymore.
Yeah, fair. Cardinals do currently hold the 7th seed, and I think they're going to play hard. They're going to have a good game plan. I think they do beat the Eagles this week, and the Eagles are they're out of it. They're third in their division now. I think it's too late, too far gone. They stuck with Wentz a little too long, in my opinion, but Cardinals in that one. All right, let's go to the 0-13 Jets at the 9-4 Rams.
Rams.
Could it be? Could it be the week?
Rams.
Oh boy,
This would be the one.
Rams
No.
in a rout. It's not.
no. You talk, Anthony. You mentioned 51-3 earlier. This is the game that could get to 51-3 right here.
Hey, look, Sam Darnold's from Southern California. Who knows?
He's going to be so distracted that he's going to forget his helmet to get in the game, dude.
He's going to be like, hey, Rams, I want to play for you.
Get rid of Goff.
But, I mean, this would be the game that the Jets win. They go 1-13, lose the first pick, and they would beat a good team. You know, it's just how the NFL works.
It's true.
Anyway, none of us should pick them, though. Let's go. Later game, Kansas City at New Orleans.
Tough game here. I'm taking New Orleans just because I think Kansas City's beatable, and New Orleans' defense and offense has what it takes to exploit and beat them. But Drew Brees probably not coming back for this game again. But if they had Drew Brees, I'd be very confident in picking the Saints. Without him, I'm much more hesitant, but I'm still taking the Saints.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints just because I need the Chiefs to lose another game. I really do we need the Bills to at least get that number 2 seed. And the more losses that the Chiefs and Steelers get, the better for the Bills because they're going to keep winning. So I'm going with the Saints here. I think, what's the quarterback's name for the Saints? Taysom Hill. I think he needs to run the ball more. And get it to the hands of his playmakers. Now, I need to see a big game out of Alvin Kamara. I wish this game was on prime time Sunday night, but too bad it's 2:30 game. But
yeah, this is a big game for the Chiefs. I know they've been kind of struggling lately early on in games. They're pulling them out late. But I don't think you're going to be able to do that with this team. If you get down early against the Saints, I mean, they're well coached. They're stacked. Their roster stacked. But I still take the Chiefs. They've overcome all the challenges that they've had in the recent 2 years, right? I'll go Chiefs. Okay. So let me go Sunday night game. The 9-4 Browns at the 5-8 Giants.
Well, at this point, it would be embarrassing if the Browns lost to the Giants, but I wouldn't put it past him. I don't think Baker continues this play that he's had the past couple of games. All of a sudden, everybody's talking about how great Baker is. Please, he's not had a good year overall. He's had a couple of good games, which is great, and I'll give him credit for. But let's not forget what he's done the rest of the season where he almost cost his team the games that they won. But I am picking Cleveland to win this one over the Giants. Exploiting another bad team, by the way.
So I think the Giants come out and they beat them. I think Danny Dimes getting back and another week healthy. I think their defense is stout enough to kind of limit the ground game. That's the catalyst of their offense. So it's going to put a lot of pressure on Baker Mayfield to make plays. I think Jarvis Landry is so caught up in being spit on by Marcus Peters that they're going to be distracted. So give me the Giants at home.
I'm going to go to Browns here. Just think it was a really close game last week. They played really well. They did everything they could except for play defense. But I think the Browns, they know where they're at. They know they're in the same situation as the Bills, right? It's been a long time for them. So I'll take the Browns. Let's go Monday night. The Steelers at 11-2. That's 2 losses. At the Bengals, 2-10.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the Steelers here by a lot. Like I said, they're one of my picks in my 5 as well. They want to make a statement and say, look, we are really good. But again, it's against one of the worst teams in football. They have not had an impressive road this season, even though they started undefeated for a while. I mean, they're going to be in the playoffs, but they're not going to be the 2 seed when it's all said and done.
Yeah, Steelers all the way here, man. Now, if they had Joe Burrow, I think the Bengals win, but they don't. So yeah, you can stick a fork in them.
Right, I can see why the NFL put this game on the schedule this late in the year. It would be fun if Burrow was playing, but he's not. Steelers. That's all we got. So let's clinch that division, right? First time since 95. I couldn't even tell you what I was doing in 95. It's been that long. So my first division win, I'll say that. How about you guys? You remember 95?
I mean,
Don't
remember
lie.
is
Oh,
one
I do.
thing. I think you just
you
take
buy a hat?
advantage of it at that point because we went to so many Super Bowls and you're like, yeah, okay, Bills are good, yeah. But yeah, I certainly didn't celebrate it. Let's put it that way.
No. I'm calling this my first division win as a fan of the Bills. I'm not going to count those years. I was too young. I was a kid, 5 or 6 years old.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, let's go. Let's go Bills. You can check our reaction out. We'll be celebrating again on Tuesday, hopefully. Maybe we'll have our division caps by then.
That would be quick.
On the Hoof Live, kicks off at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can catch it on the Cover One YouTube channel, Cover One social media platforms. And if you're listening to this show, you know that it's on Fridays, getting you ready for the weekend. And there's only a few games left, so you got to enjoy these.
Yeah, I mean, when the Bills win, I have to get another bottle of wine on the show. So I don't know if I should stick with another version of 19 Crimes or go with something else. But I am definitely expecting the Bills to win. Our guy Anthony predicted the Bills were going to win 51-3, kind of reminiscent of that playoff game against the Raiders back in the day. You guys are probably too young for that. But the Bills win big. We're going to get this W, and God, it feels so good to be top of the AFC East again.
Go Bills.